Hey, this video should be fairly short. It's very complicated but short. Now, right before I left for my summer break, M. Johnson commented one of my videos. I don't know this M. Johnson, I don't know anything about him or her, but this was the comment. We are, after all, doing photography as an exploration of who we are. Now, I don't know if this is a quote from a famous philosopher or thinker, or if this is something that this M. Johnson just came up with by him or herself. But I've been thinking about it ever since, so thank you, M. Johnson, so much for putting that on the comment field. Now I read it again, so it's fresh on our mind. We are, after all, doing photography as an exploration of who we are. So who am I? You know, I think that during my lifetime I've been often defined by external observation and external expectations. You know, growing up, my father was pretty influential in the community, so I was often referred as being his son. You know, I was nobody, he was somebody, so I'm obviously his son. And I accepted that definition, there's nothing wrong with that. Then growing up, I started to play some instruments, so I became this lad who plays piano. And that defined me, at least in certain circumstances and circles. Then I got my profession, I became a software engineer. So then that becomes my identity in many respects. You know, if I'm filing my tax filing, I put my name and then my profession is software engineer. So that's who I am and that's how much I need to pay tax. Then I advanced in my career, I became a software executive, you know, running software businesses and software teams. And that defined me in many respects. That's why I was invited for this meeting, or that's why I was, you know, sent mail and contacted, because I was this guy running software businesses. That defined me as who I am. Now, these are all external expectations and external observations of who I am, and there is a risk in that. And the risk is that we start to act these things out and we start to limit ourselves just to fulfill that specification. And it can go even further, that when we have multiple layers of external definitions, then we, you know, I might be at the same time a software executive and a family man, and depending on people around me, I act that role. But who am I really? Is not any of that, it's much more. So now this idea from M. Johnson that we are doing photography as an exploration of who we are made me think that maybe actually creating art, photography in this case, is a way for us to turn that observation-based definition sort of inside out and use our internal thoughts and mind to express ourselves and let that define who we are. Pour our soul into our work and let that define who we are. So then, I am an engineer, so I couldn't help myself. I went to my photo library and I started to look for pictures that would somehow define me. And I thought that if I can find images that are not necessarily technically anything to write home about, or are not showing anything that might be of any interest, but there's something in that picture that goes a little bit deeper, maybe those pictures are on a path of defining who I am. You follow my thinking? Like instead of external well-defined definition, maybe there are images that even though I can't put it in words, somehow feel more personal to me, and maybe they define, maybe they reflect who I am really, not those external observations. Let me show you pictures that I think fit into that definition. Hey, so we put labels on things, we name things, including people and ourselves. We label ourselves. This is who I am. My point, and the point of this whole video, is that that can be counterproductive and even dangerous. The minute we start to identify ourselves as being this or that, then we easily start to act that out and limit ourselves to only perform, if you will, in that framework. And that's why this comment by M. Johnson, we are after all doing photography as an exploration of who we are, is so liberating. So instead of an external definition, there's something within us that defines us. And we can use art, we can use creative powers to explore what that is. Let that internal stuff out, let it hang out, and show it to the world, and let that define who we are, not the labels. And maybe even refuse to label it, refuse to put a name on it. I don't know if I'm making any sense, and I'm not sure if you follow. And maybe this is not an issue for you, but I've experienced in my life many instances when I've accepted the labeling and then limited myself. And the older I get, the more I'm trying to liberate myself from those external limitations. And that's why this quote by M. Johnson hit home. We are, after all, doing photography as an exploration of who we are. Thanks, M. Johnson. And for the rest of you, thanks for watching. Next time, something else.